Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So about half an hour ago, Kabam dropped Black Cat Deep Dive. We already saw the animations yesterday, but this time I did not make a video on it. However, I have to start the video by saying that the animations do look really cool. I like that. I like the character design quite a lot. I didn't expect myself to be kind of like a Black Cat fan, because I had hardly ever heard of her from comics and stuff like that. But she does look really cool, I must admit that. Just from visual aspect, the way her character is built and her animations, I do like it a lot. Now, when her abilities are concerned, she actually kind of seems initially looks quite similar to Black Panther OG, in the terms that her kit will require you to intercept or punish heavies and special attacks to basically get benefits. In her case, her core mechanic is going to be transferal of her calling card. Now, what you need to know is that she does inflict critical, well, she does inflict bleeds with critical hits, but also critical bleeds on her level 2, and I think a few other ways. But the entire core mechanic, similarly to Panther's Might on Black Panther, is calling card, and the entire idea is that she's a thief. She tells you up front that she's going to steal something from you, and when she executes that action, she does, and she plants these calling cards back on you. And the entire idea is getting these calling cards moving back and front, and the more often you do that, the more often of them you get, because every time you execute an action, you kind of add another calling card, and then you get more benefits from doing that. So opponent starts with the calling card active. Whenever you intercept them, punish their heavy or special attack, or strike them whilst they are standing up, you get the calling card back. With your heavy attacks, you plant the calling card, and each time calling card changes hands, you get another hit added to your combo meter, and perhaps most importantly, get a cruelty passive, increasing your critical damage rating. And you can, in plenty of situations, get it all up to like 99. And this cannot be affected by ability accuracy reduction. And here we can see that is going to be how that calling card is going to look like. And there's another mechanic, that heist mechanic. Basically, you have 45 seconds until the heist expires. You can extend that with your level 1 by 9 seconds, and then pending whether the calling card is on you or your opponent, you gain abilities every 45 seconds. So if it is on you, you will get an increase in your bleeds, and if it is on opponent, you're going to inflict sabotage debuff, reducing opponent's ability accuracy further. On top of that, Black Cat also will have pretty much carbon copy-paste ability from Gwenpool, where you reduce opponent's ability accuracy for each hit on your combo meter by 2%. However, unlike Gwenpool, it can only go up to 60%, not the full 100%. But sabotage debuff reduces opponent's ability accuracy by additional 40%. So there is a way how to fully lock opponent's defensive ability accuracy. However, it's not necessarily the most accessible, it's not necessarily the most easy way to do, because you need to build up your combo meter first. We all know that Gwenpool, for instance, struggles to get to full ability accuracy reduction in some of the fights. And in this case, it would be even harder, because you cannot have 100% uptime on that sabotage debuff either. You are able to pause that sabotage debuff whenever opponent's abilities fail. You also pause your cruelty passives, and you pause your bleeds. You basically pause all your debuffs and your cruelty passives, so you can have a very long uptime there. But it is also going to be quite matchup reliant. Based on the idea, when you pause your cruelty passives and bleeds every time a defensive ability fails, there will be some matchups where Black Cat probably feels quite OP. It's similar to the idea how Falcon works, because every hit in Labyrinth, for instance, has a chance to trigger the Evade. Labyrinth and Abyss is the piece of content where she's going to feel the best at, because basically every hit will pause your bleeds, every hit will pause your cruelty passives, and you're going to be able to get insane stacks. I think we could see like up until 50 of the bleeds on. So for Labyrinth, she's probably going to be able to create some filthy videos, and potentially also really good in Abyss. That could be quite interesting. Then moving on, here we can see that Sabotage in action. Also, if Sabotage debuff is active, opponent then takes a burst of damage every time their ability fails. it does seem like fairly decent burst there. As we can see for a 4-star, it bursts for nearly 1,000. So, it'll be a decent chunk for a 6-star rank 3 or something like that. And obviously, there will be, again, opponents that do trigger some sort of abilities every single time they are struck. That Black Cat probably does quite good against. Right. That being said, she also has ability to purify some debuffs on level 1, up to 3 of them. Or if you do not have any debuffs on you, then you can actually gain a cleanse passive that will just purify the next debuff that gets placed on you. However, again, as far as debuff purification abilities go, she doesn't really seem to be in the same ballpark as many of the top champions. Even Black Panther that just purifies debuffs every time you intercept if it's awakened. So again, I do not think that she will necessarily be go-to champion for debuff purification strictly, because that requires level 1. It's limited to 3 debuffs or 1 debuff if that debuff's not active on you yet. So I'm not entirely sure if she's gonna dominate that aspect of skill champions, similarly to the ability accuracy reduction aspect. However, here is the interesting bit. She does have access to critical bleeds and increased damage on level 2s, and there will be some filthy bleeds active. And here we can see the icon for her, what is Heist, and after Heist we have Vicious mode, basically the offensive mode. And after level 3 she also has access to Infuriate, which obviously is a fantastic debuff that I love for more champions to have. My problem is that such a quintessential and necessary debuff that would make her easier to play doesn't really have a place on level 3. I'd kind of much rather have level 1 and level 3 effects swapped around, where after level 3 you can, I don't know, purify some things, but level 1 gives you access to Infuriate, because that is an ability that is a debuff that you would want active at all times in order to be able to easily intercept opponents and strike them whilst they're standing up, and all of those other things. It just makes fighting so much more casual. The fact that it is at level 3 and she doesn't have any quick way to getting to level 3 means that in most of the fights you're not even going to ever really see that. Now, her Sig ability is quite interesting. So you do get 9 combo shield passives, which obviously is going to be helpful, and that still is going to remain 9 at even Sig level 1. And obviously whenever you do get struck, they do start to fall off one at a time, and they last for like 3 seconds. However, when you would be struck dashing, you also have a chance to trigger an evade and basically have a safeguard mechanism there built in. You have up to 11.11% chance of triggering that evade. That means that at 9 combo shield passives, you would 100% kind of have safe intercept at the beginning of the fight. However, these are persistent, so they do not refresh with each fight, which means that throughout the entire quest, you can only safely rely on this effect once, basically. Because if you do trigger this on your first fight, then you can start the next fight with 8 combo shield passives, and you already would have like 90-something% chance to evade instead of 100%, sorry, 89% chance to evade instead of 100% chance, because it's persistent. So I would much rather prefer this not to be the case here, because that, again, just means that you can rely on this ability once throughout the entire quest, but it still can save you from getting hit in the face. So that is something, and obviously not losing your combo meter, because your combo meter is indeed tied to the rest of your abilities, like ability accuracy reduction. And that being said, I think that's pretty much it for Black Cat. I think this is quite a good screenshot kind of showcasing Black Cat's abilities. Now, you can see that 549 hits on combo meter. Obviously, that is inflated due to her own abilities. However, I think here you can appreciate the fact that the opponent has like 47 bleed effects active on them, and you have like 76 cruelty passives. So for Labyrinth and Abyss, I do think that she could potentially be a very decent option for several of the fights, just in a sense that all of her abilities will pretty much trigger as good as they ever would in any of the game modes. Right, before I kind of give my final conclusion of my thoughts on the character thus far, let's go over the synergies. So she obviously has synergies with Spideys, which can grant her a evade chance. But again, this is only while Heist is not active, so I'm not particularly the biggest fan of this synergy in general. For Spideys, you can get some critical damage rating whenever you do trigger Evade, which is kind of neat, I guess, but is, nothing that would make those Spideys amazing. That she has synergies with a Domino and with Longshot. For Black Cat herself, starting a fight with 40 combo meter is amazing. That means you would start your fight with 60% ability accuracy reduction against all of the champions, which, could be super helpful there, potentially. However, still is not guaranteed. And with Domino, whenever opponent's ability fails to trigger, you add 1 to her combo meter, thus increasing her bleed damage, because that is how her level 3 bleeds work. And that can be quite neat. Why not? For Longshot, I don't necessarily think that it's, super needed there. You typically don't have too much trouble building up your karma, I think. Now we have Black Cat with Punisher, Ghost Rider, and Mangog. Whenever Black Cat gets knocked out and you revive Black Cat, you get a 30% Fury passive, which again would be quite useful thing for a Labyrinth or Abyss, because, typically in a regular quest, ideally you do not want to revive ever. But in Labyrinth, you will use items, and then just having 30% attack increase is quite major. It's exactly about as the same attack increase like Liquid Courage would give you by itself. However, having a synergy piece be with Ghost Rider, Punisher, Mangog, unfortunately, will probably mean that you do not use this synergy in the only piece of content where it actually matters and where it actually would be useful, because none of these 3 guys are champions you want to bring in Labyrinth or Abyss. Well, especially Abyss. Punisher, fine, it's still Punisher, he needs more than that. Ghost Rider, increased power rate for each judgment active, I think is actually very brilliant synergy, because that is typically the problem with Ghost Rider, where you do want to build up to level 3 to reset your judgments when you have kind of run out of your effects. So this would help you get to that level 3 quicker. Against Mangog, you get some extra critical damage, nothing too major. And this synergy does sound amazing on paper, but honestly, I think it's basically almost always going to be inferior version of that Black Panther Civil War Hawkeye synergy that increases bleed damage by 20% or 25%, because here it is pending on your combo meter, and with Black Cat, fine, you can get extra hits on your combo meter quick, and you can probably get to 200 quite quickly. But if you're using Black Panther, getting to 200 is, a fairly long fight for an increase of 50. So that means that, 40 hits on your combo meter, increase it only for 10%. So it means in an average fight, to get 20% increase in your bleed, you would have to keep a combo meter of 80 hits. And for any fight that is, let's say 100 hits or 120 hits or shorter, the synergy is inferior version of the synergy that already existed in the game. It sounds cool, but it's not going to be practical, because you get max benefit of it only once reaching 200 combo meter, which is, significantly more than an average fight lasts to begin with. So, it looks cool, but it really isn't as cool as I thought. That being said, what do I think about Black Cat? So here's my ultimate thoughts. I think she's cool. I think she's going to be really, really fun in very similar terms of OG Black Panther. However, when it comes to the stuff that matters and the utility aspects of the character, do I think she's a champion that I want to use as an ability accuracy reduction champion? Absolutely not. Gwenpool, has basically better ability accuracy reduction accolades, and you don't use that. And Ronin can set up better ability accuracy reduction than she can, quicker, and we don't use him for that. Why? Because we have champions like Falcon, we have champions like Archangel or whatnot, where, the same result gets accomplished quicker. So she's not necessarily being a go-to option for ability accuracy reduction. Pretty much ever. It's hard to imagine scenarios for that. Is she going to be great skill debuff shrugger? No. That's, again, we have Kingpin, we have Mole Man, we have Shang-Chi, even Black Panther. All of those champions do that same thing much, much better, much, much quicker. What do you use Black Cat for? That is kind of the question there. And the answer is, damage and fun. Obviously, when it comes to damage, she has plenty of competition in between Kingpin, Mole Man, Nick Fury, many other champions. So I don't necessarily think she's a must-have character or, absolute chase there, because she's definitely going to be fun. She's definitely gonna be some people's favorite. She's definitely gonna do some interesting, awesome things in Labyrinth and Abyss. But ultimately, when we're thinking about like alliance wars or alliance quests and general questing situations and tough matchups, I do not necessarily see her as one of those champions that you must have in your roster or you feel that you're not going to be able to cover a matchup. Because again, there's no immunities necessarily. Her damage obviously is reliant on bleed debuffs like a lot of skilled champions, which is not necessarily inherent weakness, but it's just a common trait there. But basically all of the things that typically you consider when you want to bring in a champion, there are better alternatives to that. And, that is just initial impression. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe she's going to be, far more powerful than I believe she's going to be. But at the moment, she looks similar type of character the way I look Carnage. I just love using Carnage. That's pretty much the end of it, Carnage doesn't do anything some other champions couldn't do. It's just very fun to play with Carnage. And, that's how I look at Black Cat at the moment. Just very fun character. Not necessarily a must-have, do not break your bank or something like that. She just looks like a very, very fun champion. Obviously, prestige is still unknown, so that's going to play a factor. But all of those things being said, I definitely look forward to seeing much more of Black Cat gameplay. I don't necessarily think that she's going to be a champion I, try my hardest to get my hands on. But I would definitely be happy to get her at some point and test around and have a bit of fun with her. Let me know what you guys think so far, and that's about it. I'm going to catch you guys later. See ya.
Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the